Hey, what's up guys, it's DarkArmedDuelist and today doing a Dracoslayer deck profile. So I'm really excited to do some for you guys because this deck was actually suggested to me by one of my patrons, Zak. And this deck is an extremely powerful pendulum deck to play, and I've included all sorts of spicy tech cards in this build for you guys. So without further ado, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell there so you can become part of the notification squad, and definitely check out the Patreon down in the description below for all those awesome rewards. Like getting your name in the description in a single video, getting assigned cards in the mail, and even getting to request a deck profile every single month to your patron. And definitely give Zak some love down in the comments down below for suggesting such an awesome deck. So let's get straight on into this one, guys. So first off, we're playing 3 copies of Ignis Phoenix. This card is definitely a 3 of in the build, with a really cool effect that this card is always treated as an Ignite card. And if this card on the field is destroyed by a battle by card effect, you can actually special summon another Dracoslayer monster from your deck, except another copy of this card, and if you do, it's treated as a tuner, which is an amazing ability for this card to have. We then play 3 copies of Majesty Pegasus. Majesty Pegasus is definitely a 3 of as well in this deck, because this card actually searches field spells. If this card is special summon the effect of a Dracoslayer card or its Pendulum summon, you can add a field spell from your deck to your hand, then discard a card, which is an amazing ability because we actually have some awesome field spells we can search out with this card's effect. We then play 3 copies of Dynamite Power Load. Dynamite Power Load is definitely a 3 of as well in the build, with an awesome ability to let you target a Dracoslayer monster in your other Pendulum Zone and special summon it to your side of the field, which is an amazing ability to instantly get you another monster out on the field. We then play 3 copies of Luster Pendulum. Luster Pendulum is definitely a 3 of in the build as well, because this card is evaluated once per turn. If you have a card in your other Pendulum Zone, you can destroy that card, and if you do, add 1 card from your deck to your hand with the same name as that card, which is a really cool effect to instantly get to the exact card that you need. We then play a single copy of Lecter Pendulum, the Drake Overlord. This is our Drake Overlord target for the deck, and the reason I'm playing this one in the particular build is because this card is actually an effect monster that we can summon out with our copy of Draco Faceoff, making it probably the best target in the entire game for your copy of Draco Faceoff for the Drake Overlord. So that's it for the Dracoslayer monsters. Let's get into the other monsters we're playing in this deck. So for the other monsters, we're going to start off with 3 copies of Skullcrabat Joker. Joker's definitely a 3 of in the build. It's probably the best normal summon in the entire deck. So when this card is normal summon, you can add a Perform Pile monster, Magician Pendulum monster, or an Odd Eyes monster from your deck to your hand, which is a great effect. We then play 3 copies of Odd Eyes Revolution Dragon. This card is just all around amazing. It's a scale 12, and it's also a searcher for the deck that you can discard this card, pay 500 life points, and then add a level 8 or lower Dragon Pendulum monster from your deck to your hand, getting to the exact card that you need with this card's effect. Plus, it's a not once per turn, so you can be able to discard as many times as you have this card in your hand to be able to get an additional search, which is so cool. We then play a single copy of Odd Eyes Arc Pendulum Dragon. This card is just a good 1-of card in this particular build. We then play a single copy of Odd Eyes Seer. Odd Eyes Seer is just such a powerful card in this deck, and search will offer your copy of Skullcrabat Joker. This card is a really cool effect that you can target a Perform Pile or an Odd Eyes card in your graveyard and add it back to your hand, then destroy this card, which is a really cool effect to be able to use with this card's ability, because it gets you to the exact card that you need. We then play a single copy of Odd Eyes Dissolver. Dissolver is great because this card helps us fusion summon into the exact cards that we need. Because this card is evaluated once per turn, you can fusion summon a Dragon Fusion monster from your X check using monsters from your hand or field as fusion material, which is such a powerful effect to help us go in for our fusion plays. This card also has a monster ability that during your main phase you can fusion summon a fusion monster from your X check using this card you control as a fusion material, as well as other monsters that you control or cards in your Pendulum Zone, which is so cool to help you fusion summon. We then play a single copy of Monkey Board. Monkey Board is just great in the deck overall as a 1-up, as this card has a great ability unless you have a Perform Pal in your other Pendulum Zone. This card's Pendulum Scale becomes 4. Also, during the main phase, if this card was activated this turn, you can add a level 4 or lower Perform Pal monster from your deck to your hand, instantly getting your copy of Skullcrabat Joker, which is so cool. We then play 3 copies of Magispector Raccoon. This card is a really good normal summon in the deck, because we have a bunch of cards this card can actually search from our deck to our hand. So when this card is normal or special summon, you can add a Magispector monster from your deck to your hand, which is a great ability to instantly get to our copy of our Pegasus, or get to our copy of Unicorn. Unicorn is amazing. This card is finally back off the ban list. And this card is a really cool ability that during either player's turn, you can target a Pendulum monster in your monster zone and one monster that your opponent controls and return them both back to the hand, which is such a powerful effect and just really cool to finally have this card back. We then play a single copy of Astrograph Sorcerer. Astrograph Sorcerer is just too good not to play. This card is just amazing overall in the build and a fantastic Pendulum monster to play in this deck. We then play 3 copies of Ash Blossom. Ash Blossom is just really good to be able to play in just about every single deck to basically stop your opponent from touching the deck. So that's it for the monsters, guys. Let's get into the spells. So for the spells, we're going to start with a single copy of Sky Iris. Sky Iris is really good as a 1-up in the build because this card makes it so that your Magician, Perform Pal, and Odd Eyes cards in your Pendulum Zone cannot be targeted by your opponent's card effects, and you can also target one of their face-up card that you control and destroy it, and if you do, add an Odd Eyes card from your deck to your hand, which is a really cool effect to get to the exact card that you need. Then play a single copy of Secret Village of the Spellcasters. Secret Village is really good to be able to play in the deck as a 1-up, because this card just locks down your opponent, because it's super easy for us to control a Spellcaster monster, because if only you control a Spellcaster monster, then your opponent cannot activate spell cards, and if you control no Spellcaster monsters, you cannot activate spell cards. You usually are going to control a Spellcaster deck, and it's very easy to make sure you're going to have one on your side of the field, with all the different Ling monsters we're playing in this build. We then play a single copy of Dynamist Charge. Dynamist Charge is definitely a 1-up in the build. So when this card is activated, you get to add a Dynamist monster from your deck to your hand, which will instantly get you to your copy of your Dynamite, which is really cool to be able to instantly get to that card, because it's always treated as a Dynamist card. We then play 2 copies of Triple Tactics Talent. Triple Tactics Talent is amazing as a 2-up in the build because this card has 3 really powerful effects. Lets you draw 2 cards, take control of one of your opponent's monsters into the end phase, or look at your opponent's hand, choose a card from it, and shuffle it into the deck, which is just really cool to be able to do. This card is definitely a 2-up in the build, as it just helps us out a lot in this deck. We then play 3 copies of Draco Face-Off. Draco Face-Off is really good as a 3-up and just such a powerful card to play in this deck. As you reveal a Dracoslayer Pendulum monster and a Drake Overlord Pendulum monster from your deck, your opponent only picks one of them to place in your Pendulum Zone or to special summon your choice and add the other to your extract face-up, which is really cool to be able to do because we have a bunch of targets to be able to use with this card. So that's it for the spells, guys. Let's get into the traps. So for the traps, we're just going to be playing 3, and that's going to be 3 copies of Infinite Impermanence. Infinite Impermanence is definitely a 3-up in the build just to stop your opponent's monster effects and also lock down entire columns of spells and traps. This card is a really good 3-up in the build and just really good to go along with our copies of Ash Blossom to basically use them as hand traps to stop the opponent. So that's it for the main deck, guys. Let's get into the extra deck. So for the extra deck, we're going to start off with our copies of Ignister. Ignister is one of our main boss monsters of the deck and just really cool to summon out to your side of the field, as once per turn you can target a Pendulum monster on the field or one card in the Pendulum Zone and destroy it. And if you do, shuffle a card on the field into the deck, and it's non-targeting to just immediately shuffle a card in the deck. Also, once per turn, you can special summon a Dracoslayer monster from your deck in defense position, but it cannot be used as synchro material for a summon, which is not that big of a deal because we have plenty of other Dracoslayers we can actually go into, which is just really nice to be able to do. We then play a single copy of number 38. Number 38 is just really good to be able to make in the deck because it is a spell negate, and it's very easy to make with 2 copies of your Ignister or another level 8 plus a copy of Ignister. We then play a single copy of Bagooska. Bagooska is really good to be able to make in the deck just in case we need to slow down the game. We then play a single copy of Magister Paladin. This card is great to be able to play in the deck as a 1-of. As when this card is XZ summon, you can add a Pendulum monster from your deck to your hand during the end phase of this turn, and once per turn you can detach a material on this card to special summon a face-up Dracoslayer Pendulum monster from your X check, but it cannot be used as XZ material the turn it's summoned, which is again not that big of a deal because we have some really cool cards we can go into, like our copy of Ignister. We then play a single copy of Odd Eyes Vortex Dragon. Odd Eyes Vortex Dragon is really cool to be able to make in the deck because you can very easily make this card with your copy of Dissolver, and it's really cool to be able to summon out to your side of the field because it is a walking negate. We then play a single copy of Dynastor Power. Dynastor Power is just super easy to make in this build, and just a fantastic boss monster to make on your side of the field and part of our inboard. It must be first special summoned from your X deck by tributing the above cards. You don't have to use Polymerization, and also Pendulum monsters in your monster zone and Pendulum zones cannot be destroyed by battle or by an opponent's card effects, and once per turn you can special summon a Dracoslayer Pendulum monster from your hand or graveyard, but it cannot be used as a fusion material, which is not that big of a deal again, but it's just really cool to be able to make on your side of the field. And then a single copy of Zelantis. Zelantis is just amazing to make. Zelantis is such a cool card because it just basically banishes everything and then puts them all back onto your side of the field and your opponent's side of the field, resetting all your soft once per turns, which is so cool to be able to do. This card is really good overall in the deck because it can reset cards like your copy of Ignister so you can use their effects again. And it's just a really good card overall in this deck. We then play a single copy of Access Code. Access Code's great to pop multiple cards on the field and help you go in for game. Plus it comes out absolutely massive. One copy of Appaloosa because it's so easy to make in this deck and just gives us multiple monster negates. One copy of Exceed the Pendulum. Exceed the Pendulum is just really good to be able to make for its link arrows. Plus it's a spellcaster for Secret Village of the Spellcaster. Plus it's really good to make in this deck. It gains 100 attack for each Pendulum card that you control, which is a great effect to be able to use. And also if this card is link summon, you can add a face-up Pendulum monster from your X check to your hand, and during the main phase, quick effect, you can special summon a Pendulum monster from your hand or graveyard in defense position with a level between the Pendulum scales of the 2 cards in your Pendulum zone, which is just going to extend your plays. We then play 2 copies of Beyond the Pendulum. Beyond the Pendulum is a great searcher for this deck, and it's just overall fantastic card to be able to make in this build to enable all of our plays. We then play a single copy of SP Little Knight. SP Little Knight is really good to make in this build. You could change it out for Nightmare Unicorn, but it's great to be able to make if you do have this card because it does help out a lot overall in this deck as a double interruption. We then play a single copy of IP Masquerade to go along with our SP Little Knight because it does help us go in for SP Little Knight during our opponent's turn. But again, even if you decide to play the copy of Nightmare Unicorn over the SP Little Knight, you can still play the IP Masquerade to go in for Unicorn during the opponent's turn. So that's it for the deck, guys. I would enjoy this deck. Is super fun to be able to play. If you guys have never played Dracoslayer before, you should definitely give this deck a try because it's an extremely powerful Pendulum deck and it's just super fun to be able to play because there's so many cool tech cards you can include in this deck like I showed you guys, and it's just a really fun Pendulum deck. So that's good for this one, guys. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell notification, come part of the notification squad, and we'll see you guys in the next video. See you later, guys.